got a little time to pass, so I figured I'd go live and just chit chat and see who wants to hop on. It is, let's see, what time is it? It's about 6:40, 6:47 is what it says, and I got a little time to kill. And so I figured I'd come on here and see how everybody was doing, chit chat, hang out a little bit, um, just see what everybody's up to. I got my hair in long braids today. I hardly ever wear my hair like that, but look at this little teensy weensy little tiny little tiny braid. They go down to like nothing. This one is a little bit thicker. This side of my hair, I guess I have less hair on that side. I don't know. And so they're two different sizes. It's so funny, but anyways, I'm trying to work on wearing my hair down, which is completely irrelevant to farm related things, besides the fact that when you have long hair and you're farming, that you get it in everything, like the water bowls, the food bowls, the animals want to eat it. You're constantly dragging it through the dirt and the muck. And if you don't have really long hair, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But if you have really long hair, it becomes an issue very quickly. But I'm trying to work on wearing my hair down more for many reasons. So today we have it in braids. But I just wanted to see how everybody was doing. Wanted to see if anybody would get on here and chit chat with me and just hang out. It is warm out today. I don't know what the temperature is around your all's neck of the woods, but we're supposed to be hitting some very high temperatures this week. It's going to be, the index is going to be like 105 degrees Fahrenheit. And so we're going to be hitting some highs. It's August, and so that's typical for us to be hitting highs and then hitting lows. It's so weird how the weather has been, but that's where we're at. And so we've got all our chores done. We got all our work done. We're going to be having a later supper because we had a late lunch, and my husband's going out hunting tonight, like he does almost every night. And so he's going to have a late supper, so I like to try to make it a little bit later. That way his meal can maybe be warm when he comes in. And so we've typically been eating lunch a little bit later. So that's why it's supper time and I'm not making supper. I don't know what that means. But how's everybody doing? Um, I've never been a football fan. No, I'm doing good. Uh, Joe, you must be new to the channel. I am not a very political person. I'm not for the government in any way, shape, or form. So neither one of them really ring my bell. Um, I I believe that the government is all up in our business and they need to get out of our business. So I'm not a very political person besides that. Um, so, hi, Cole. How are you? He said Trump then. I just believe that the government needs to mind their own business. Um, yeah, I am too. And my my mod that I usually have on here is not here, so I'm gonna have to work through these myself. So if anybody starts disturbing you, just holler at me, and I will try my best to work through that. From England, that's very neat. We are in the States. Um, Let me see. Hello. You're dead on right. Yeah. I'm not a political person in general. Politics are just not something that um, I I familiarize myself with very much. Um, and I don't really pick. I don't know. I mean, there's things on both sides that I don't agree with, and I've talked about this before on a live that there's not gonna be one person that becomes an office that I'm gonna agree 100% with, and that I'm gonna agree on absolutely everything they say and do, and so I think that I think people get over wrapped up in it. I don't. I think that the government needs to reboot itself as far as that goes in the U.S. And um, Kenya, awesome. Um, hello, how are you? And I think that it's okay that we disagree on some things, and I'm a full believer of freedom of speech. But I think I think specifically in this day and age, people have treated their opinions like they're facts. So they like they just blurt out their opinion, and they in their mind they're facts to them, and that if you don't believe the way that they specifically believe, that you're stupid, you're dumb, and blah 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 blah. But like I said, I don't pick sides when it comes to things like that, and so I don't know. Um, hopefully I can manage the trolls, guys. If you see something, just let me know. I'm doing this solo, so they'll come and go. But let's get on a subject. If you're new to this channel, this is a farm channel. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that that's it. I think that people think because they say it louder that it makes them right, and it doesn't. You're right. People don't know how to communicate anymore. Um, yeah, yeah, they do. You're right. Yeah, they do, and it's a crying shame because it's not that I guess I would be considered youth. I'm a millennial. It's not that millennials don't have good ideas. It's not that we're stupid in general. It's just um that for whatever reason the majority just does not, like you said, know how to communicate. They just don't know how to uh say what they need to say. Um say what they need to say without just without screaming it, without it being just in your face. And so if I've talked about it before on my lives, I love communicating. Um, I love being able to hear other people's sides of the story, whether it be based on government or science. I love hearing other people's opinions. I love hearing the other side. But if you're going to speak to me education, like with some education to back yourself up. Speak to me politely. Speak to me in a way that makes you seem like you know what you're talking about. That makes you show some of that education you've got about yourself, and then I will be able to take your side. Like I said before, people think because they say it louder that makes them smarter, or that that's what's going to get their point across, and that's not a fact. Um, Corey, yes, I do. If you're interested in my religious background, I am Holiness Pentecostal. So um, that's where we're at. That's where we're at with that. I was raised Protestant, and I met my husband and I converted over to Pentecostalism, I guess is how you say that. I currently am in a holiness Pentecostal church. So, um, but yes, people need to show some maturity. People need to. I used to have a teacher in school that used to say, "Act your age, not your IQ." um, Non-denominational. Uh, Act your age, not your IQ. And I, like I said, I love having educated conversations with people. I love hearing people's different sides of the story, of their story. I love hearing people's different opinions. But if I can't sit and listen to you speak, if I can't let you finish a sentence, if I can't just listen to what you're saying, um, and not get upset or aroused or not be, cutting you off or screaming over top of you to get my point across, then I don't need to be having those conversations with people. And so I'm down to one viewer now, but somebody up here asked about my political views, and I was just stating that I'm not a very political person. I never really have been. I'm very strong on my beliefs, and I can express my beliefs without taking one side or another, or degrading another side and saying, well, they're stupid, or they don't know what they're talking about, blah 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 blah. And so I don't I don't like, especially to people that I don't personally know. I'm not gonna go say, well, I'm for this person or that person, because to be honest with you, I know a little bit about Donald Trump, who's running for president. I couldn't even tell you the first thing about Kamala Harris. I don't know nothing about her. And so if I don't know anything about somebody, I can't have an opinion on them. And I don't even know what's running on at this point. All I know is I live in a little old tiny town. I try to raise all my food. I try to just do the best for me. I try to just do the best for my family. I try to, just be the best me I can be, and to raise my child in the way that I want her to go. And that's it. That's that's essentially what this channel is about. Like I said, if you are new to this channel, this is a farmstead, homestead kind of channel. We do farming related activities. Um, that's what we are. We're simple folks, simple people. We're simple people, that try to live life as simple as possible. Um, yes, you're absolutely right. That is what life should be about. Um, and I think that if we can keep our own, if we can stay on our own paths here, if we can, um, mind our own business respectfully, if we can be kind to one another, and if we can, I hate to be like, I hate to say self-sustained, because I really don't. I believe that it takes a community to be sustainable. I heard somebody on another channel. It was a specific person. I'm not going to name their channel because I don't want it to sound like I'm talking about this person bad. But he said, I don't want to call my channel a homesteading channel, because I believe that in order to be a homestead, I have to absolutely raise everything on the farm. I have to raise my meat. I have to raise everything that I eat. I'm not going to buy anything from the store. I'm not going to buy anything from this person or that person. I'm going to have to raise all my grain for my animals. And he said, I just don't do that. But I like to think of homesteading as more of a community thing. I like to think of, you're raising apples, well, I'm raising tomatoes, and we can kind of, I need your apples, you need my tomatoes. We can trade on these things, and kindness leads to joy. Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that if we kind of shift our mindset um, to a community, it here's the thing is I believe that in general is what's wrong with society. We've quit depending on each other. We have quit supporting each other. We've quit when we see somebody down, we're not willing to, put our life on hold for a second to help another person. Um, we're not willing to give up we have what we have and what we've done because we're so greedy as a society to share with others. I don't even know if I posted the video. Maybe I did post a video, but I was talking. Maybe I was. It was my. I can't remember what video it was. I was in the garden and I was talking about how we had raised an abundance of tomatoes. We had raised so many that I was able to give a couple different families whose garden didn't do as well. And I don't say this to brag on myself. I'm talking about community here. I was able to give them some tomatoes. Well, in return, one of the people that I gave tomatoes to the other day, she said, I've got an abundance of pears. Would you like to have some pears? And I said, absolutely. And so I gave her, a big old box or two of tomatoes, and she gave me uh, a couple bags. She gave me 6 bags of pears, and to me that is homesteading. To me is that is community, and I would rather surround myself with those kinds of people, those people that uplift and share, than be one of those people that I'm I've got to can all this for myself, and this is self sustainability, and blah blah blah, and this and that and that. And I think that especially in the turn and the way the world has turned, it was already bad. Like, it was, we were already seeing selfishness. But I think that when all that went down with COVID, and we were seeing like stores stripped of everything, and everybody like hoarding food and toilet paper and things like that, it really showed where our mindset is. It really showed where we're at in a society, that we're willing to hoard all of this so this person can't have it. And to me, that's not the person I want to be. We don't buy much from the grocery store anyways, but when we went, we had to get something like toilet paper. We weren't clearing the shelves to make sure that nobody else had toilet paper. We weren't trying to take from others to gain for ourselves. And I don't say that to be prideful. I don't say that to say, I'm better than you. And I really don't want it to sound like that. I want to say it in a way that encourages other people to be that way, to be the kind of people that are willing to share with others, willing to take what is their excess and give it to somebody else, and not expecting anything in return. When I gave those tomatoes, I wasn't expecting her to message me a couple weeks later and say, "Hey, I've got some pears." But it worked out really great, because guess who doesn't have a pear tree? Me. I don't have pears, and I took them willingly. And and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for that community. And I think that in the homesteading world, we need to focus as much as sustaining ourselves. We need to try to help and sustain our community as well. We need to try to be the type of people that are willing to help others when they're down. And I'm not seeing that a lot. I'm not seeing other homestead channels talking about that. I'm seeing a lot of homestead channels talking about how much access they have, and how they've canned this or that and another, how they're prepping and they're storing and they're putting away, and they're saving it for a zombie apocalypse or whatever they're saving it for, instead of just saying, I've got this little bit of excess. I see, that your whatever didn't do well this year. I have a little bit extra. Would you be interested in my little bit extra? And like she said, kindness equals joy. Kindness goes a long way. And like I said, we shouldn't expect anything in return, but if we get that little bit in return, it's nice. I'm going to have pears. I'm gonna have pears. I took my lemons and I got pears, or I took my excess of tomatoes and I got pears. So I'm really thankful for that. I'm gonna read some comments here. Let me see. I went out to Farmstead today for bulk tomatoes because our crop was bad, but the bushels are mostly green plump tomatoes. Do you know if they will turn red? Don't want to waste money. I went to a farm stand today for bulk tomatoes because our crop was bad, but the bushels were mostly green. Yeah, they'll turn red. What you can do if you want to get them more red more quickly, you can put them in a box and add a little bit of put a banana in there, and you can cause your tomatoes to ripen a little bit more quickly. If you want them to ripen a little bit more slowly, you can put them in a paper bag or a cardboard box, put the lid on them, and allow that sunshine to not hit the tomatoes very hard, and that way you can keep them a little bit longer. But and now when you put the banana in, don't put your banana like right next to the tomatoes. I've never done it that way, but I've heard people put bananas in there to ripen them more quickly. Okay. They can ripen more quickly. And so I wouldn't put your banana right next to or right on the tomatoes though, because I've got a feeling that smell or taste would go over to your tomatoes. Something else that you can do is just sit them in a windowsill or just like a table in front of the sunlight, and you can ripen them a lot more quickly like that. It's not a bad thing to have green tomatoes though. There are some canning recipes you can do with green tomatoes. Also, fried green tomatoes are delicious, but you shouldn't have any issues with them turning red, though. Speaking of that, talking about bananas going bad, one way that we keep our waste down on bananas, a lot of people, like you'll make banana pudding or banana bread when the bananas start going bad. Something that I do to kind of keep my bananas that are going out or turn brown, I will just grab a Ziploc bag or some type of container, usually a Ziploc bag, and I'll just take the brown tomato or tomatoes. I will take the brown bananas if I can get it out, and I will put them in the bag, and then I will put them in the freezer. And then when I go to make zucchini bread and add a little bit, sometimes I make banana zucchini bread, banana nut muffins, banana pancakes, any of those things that call for a really ripe banana. Any of those things that call for a really ripe banana, the dog just bursted in here, call for a really ripe banana, I just take those bananas out of the bag, let them thaw slightly for my recipe. And that's what I do with overripe bananas. What are you doing? Something else that I do to try to keep my waste down, I'm getting ready to process these pears, but something that I do with my apples is the core of the apple. If you eat a lot of apples, you can keep that core, put it in a bag, and you can use those cores later on to make jam or jelly. And how you do that, you take those cores, you put them in a pot, you fill the water up about that much over the bananas, you let them come to a boil and then let them simmer. I cannot remember exactly the time, maybe 20 or 30 minutes. You pour the apple cores and peels over a strainer. You allow the juice to go down into a bowl or another pot. You heat that up. You put your pectin in there, and there you go. You got jam or jelly, apple jam or jelly. You can also do the same thing with corn if you have corn on the cob. If this year I haven't done it before, I'm gonna do it this year. I can't recommend if it's good or not. I've heard that it's delicious, but I plan on making corn cob jelly this year. You take your cobs that you cut your corn off. We cut our corn off the cob. We froze the corn. We take the cob. We put them in the freezer. And then when I want to make my corn cob jelly, I'm going to do the same process I did with the apple peels and cores. Put them in a pot of water, let them come up to a boil, let them simmer for a time, pour that juice off, pour it back in the pan, add our sugar and our pectin, and there we go. We got corn cob jelly. Something else that I do, since we're talking about saving some different things, we also keep all of our onion peels. I keep my pepper my pepper peels. Like our ribs and stuff like that, our onion peels, the center of the onion. I don't usually use that in recipes very often. The center of an onion, or like the outer part that kind of has that papery stuff on it. If you put that in corn cob jelly on cornbread, is that good? If you put those in a bag when you want to make some broth, usually when I make my chicken broth, I'll put my whole chicken in the Instant Pot. You can also do it in the crock pot, or my chicken pieces, whatever kind of recipe I'm making. And I put those onion peels and cores and pepper peels and such like that, and I put them in the Instant Pot with a little bit of water, or in the crock pot with a little bit of water, and there you go. You've got some little oomph to your broth. So that's a couple different ways you can save up some food. Thanks, I will try that. We had next to no tomatoes. I found Mrs. Wedge's salsa mix. You were talking about awesome about last week and want to try it. I hope you love it. We really love it. One thing about the Mrs. Wages, and I think that I'm going to try this as well. I've got some excess of peppers. I've cut a bunch of peppers up and put them in the freezer, but I think what I'm going to do is take my dehydrator and cut my peppers up in kind of medium-sized chunks to large chunks. I'm going to chunk them and then put them in the dehydrator. Bell peppers, just my bell peppers. Put them in the dehydrator for, I say just my bell peppers. Bell peppers for now, because I've heard that you don't want to do jalapenos or any type of spicy pepper inside the house. They tell you to do those outside because it's like pepper spray in your house. And so we don't want to do that. And so I'm going to try the bell peppers and the dehydrator. And then I'm going to use them for recipes like that in the next year when I'm making salsa with fresh tomatoes, to add to, or to just add to recipes, having dehydrated peppers. We use peppers and onions and garlic and about everything we make. It's like those three things are staples in our household. We use them in almost every meal, and so because of that, I think that it would be really neat to have those dehydrated peppers. But essentially that's what is in the Mrs. Wages mix. It's just dehydrated everything else. So you just use the fresh tomatoes and the dehydrated onion and pepper and some seasonings and stuff like that. I really like the Mrs. Wages mix though. If you haven't tried it before, anybody else that's on this chat, if you have not tried it before, it's delicious. It kind of reminds you of, like, if you're having problems with like making salsa and it not really tasting, like what you're used to. A lot of people are, used to like store-bought salsa or like restaurant salsa. It reminds you of a lot of the restaurant salsa. And so I really like the Mrs. Wedges. And I will probably try to narrow down the Mrs. Wedges recipe and maybe dehydrate those things so I can maybe make it homemade in the future. So we'll just have to see how that goes. It sounds good. I've never heard of corn cob jelly, but it sounds like it'd be delicious on cornbread. Actually, it does sound like it would be delicious on cornbread. I haven't tried it either, but I do plan to do it. I've got a couple bags in my deep freeze of corn cobs that I will be doing corn cob jelly with. And like I said, I've got my apple peels and cores in a bag from last year, ones that I didn't use. And I've also got my pears that hopefully I'm going to be making some pear jelly out of. I'm definitely going to try to make some pear preserves as well. And there was something else that that somebody had suggested, and I can't remember what it was. Do you remember? I don't know if you all remember. I don't even know if they still make it. When I was a kid, my mom used to buy me, um, maybe Juicy Juice made it. It was in like those bottles. She would buy me pear. What was it? Pear. It just totally left me. Pear and something. Pear and something juice. It like cranberry. Pear cranberry juice. And and it was so good. And she would buy it specifically for me because I was the only one that liked it, but she would buy it, in the jugs. I wonder how good pear cranberry juice would be. I don't know where I would get my hands on some cranberries though. Some like fresh cranberries. But that sounds so good. So then I'm sitting here thinking like pear juice sounds really good. But definitely I want to try to do pear jelly from Cores and Peels and pear preserves. Now my pears are not ready yet. I've got them on the table and I'm allowing them to ripe in the sun. I don't want them to ripen super slow, so I haven't covered them up. I want the sun to hit them a little bit. I've got a lot of natural light in my house, especially in my kitchen, and so I've just got them on the kitchen table. My table is unusable in the summertime. If you all have noticed in my lives or my videos in the background, like my table is completely unusable in the summertime. In the winter, it's not that bad. I say that now, and then you all will see it in the winter. It'll probably be horrific. But usually, it's not that bad. Just in the summertime, it's just fresh produce comes in, and there's always something that needs dealt with. There's always something that needs handled. And so my kitchen table is usually always full with stuff. Same here, yeah. I'm glad I'm not the only one. But I hopefully I can get my kitchen back under control once we get these pears and then apple season is through. I usually buy apples as well at the end of the season and make apple preserves and jelly and a little bit of apple juice if I have any excess. My husband loves apple juice. My daughter will not touch an apple with a 10-foot pole. I don't know why. Well, I think I do know why. When she was little, when she was like really, really little, like baby food little, she would always have a bad reaction to apples. Like it would always break, like apple, like apple sauce and things like that, like that you feed babies, or anything that had apple in it. And so we figured that out pretty quickly and we quit giving her, things that had apple in it because she would, her little mouth would break out and I never had her tested to see if she's allergic to apples, but she might be allergic to apples because even when she was real little, she would have a reaction like that. And so maybe she's allergic to them, and that's why she has an aversion against them. And so I don't push it. I know that a lot. I've talked to different people about that. We have a nut allergy in my family. Not peanuts. Not nuts that grow in the ground like peanuts or anything like that, but tree nuts. We have a tree nut allergy, so coconut, walnuts, things like that, things that grow on trees. And I've never been a nut person. Besides peanuts, I can eat peanuts. Every once in a while, I can eat an almond. But as far as I have a total aversion to coconut, and I had a pistachio for the first time the other day, and my throat started closing up. And as I've gotten older, I've wondered if my aversion to nuts is just because I'm allergic to them. Because I've just never liked them. And, there's been a couple times that I've ate like a type of nut, like a coconut or pistachio or something like that, and my throat just didn't feel right. And I've wondered if just my aversion from a child has been that, I'm just allergic to them. And if you're not a picky eater, my child is not a picky eater. I'm not going to push something she doesn't like. So me and my husband love apples, so we just eat the apples. I have a sign in my kitchen that says my house was clean last week. Sorry you missed it. I've seen those signs. It's so funny. I've got a sign in my kitchen, bless my husband's heart. He loved it. And he never buys like things like this. But it's so funny because when he seen it, he thought of me instantly. Well, actually, he's got two things that he's bought that he's thought of me that's in my kitchen. And the first one, if you've never heard the story, I didn't know how to cook when me and my husband got together. I would like burn water. Like I couldn't even boil water, pretty much. We make jokes like I couldn't. I probably couldn't have. And so he taught me how to cook. And our first couple years of marriage, he ate a lot of burnt food, love his heart. And so he got me a little like magnet. It's a sign and a magnet, so you can hang it up or have it magnetized. And I can't remember if I've got it on my fridge or hung up. I've had it both ways. But it says that when the fire alarm goes off, supper is ready. And so he got me that sign. But that reminded when you said you had a sign in your kitchen. This is sorry you missed it. I've also got a little sign. I've also got a little sign on my fridge that says I clean my house. I clean my house with a sweep of my eye. So you just look at it, and that's how you sweep your house, is with your eyes. His grandmother gave that to me, and I love it. So it's a little magnet that's on my fridge that says you clean the house with a sweep of your eye. And but he also, I don't know if you all have ever noticed in the back of my videos, my last salsa video, if you notice over where my refrigerator's at, there's like a goofy looking chicken with glasses. And my husband bought that for me, and he loved it, and he knew that I would adore it. I'm very easily entertained. And I love to laugh, and I love to smile, and I love just like things that make me laugh. And I've always been that way my whole life. And so when he gets me stuff like that, it just makes me so happy. And he knows it will. He knows it'll make me so happy just to look at. And every time I look at that chicken, I think, oh my gosh, I love that chicken so much. But it's a little chicken. It's like a little picture frame. It sits above. Well, actually, I have it. It's in a frame, and then underneath of it hangs my aprons on the wall next to my refrigerator. But he got me that chicken, and it's so cute. I think he just got it at the dollar store. But I will have that thing probably until it falls apart. It's just like just like I don't know, it's like a snapshot of our marriage, and just and how easily entertained, and how just small things bring me so much joy. But my husband knows me, and so that's the kind of things that he gets me. But yeah, that when you said that, the first thing that popped in my head was that little sign that he got me that says, when the smoke alarm goes off, supper's ready. What's really funny is the smoke alarm used to go off a lot. And we've we had to change the batteries in our smoke alarm. Like the first year we were married because they were going off so much. I would set them off so much. But here's the thing. I didn't know how to cook. And the house that I was raised up in had an electric stove. And so, with like the coals. Well, when I got married, the house came with a gas stove. And so not only did I have to learn how to cook, but I had to learn how to cook with fire. And so cooking with gas is a lot different than cooking with electric. I've cooked on electric at other people's houses since I've learned how to cook, and it's a total different experience. And so not only did I have to learn how to cook, I had to learn how to cook on gas, which is a completely different thing. Yeah, he's sweet when he wants to be. We've been together for a long while. I know there's a lot of people who's been together longer than us, but I feel where we were so young when we got together and when we got married, I feel like I've grown up with him, and I love that. I love that about us, where we were just so young. I love the fact that I by the time we're 70 and 80 years old, I'm going to spend majority of my life with my husband. I love that. I love that, fact about us. But But yeah, definitely he gets me. And he understands my simple mind when it comes to just gestures like that. He understands just how easily I'm entertained. Um, and uh, and it's really funny. Well, we have been on here for 40 minutes, and I believe everybody is about trickled off here. But I want to say thank you for everybody that's hung out this evening with us. PJM, you have stuck right with me, and I appreciate it so much. And I'm thankful for everybody that's popped in, and it's been a pretty good live. But guys, I appreciate it. You've been married for 35 years. We get along great most of the time. Yeah. Yeah, there's one thing that I've learned we've not been together for 35 years. We've been married for 9. We've been together in November, we will have been together for 11 years. I met my husband when I was 18. And so I have known him for a good chunk of my life now. And it's been fun. It's been fun to grow up with my husband. You know, a lot of people experience life, and then they get married, and I kind of did it a little bit backwards. But if I was to experience life with anybody, he'd be the person I would want to experience life with. And so I didn't make a mistake in choosing him to experience life with. But yeah, I was very young when I met my husband. I thought that I was an adult, though. I thought that I was, that I knew everything, like everybody does when they're 18. And now that I'm not 18 anymore, um, now that I'm almost now that I'm a decade older, or over a decade older, I realized that I didn't know anything and that I didn't know nothing about life, but still don't know much about life. I'm still young, but it's been a journey, and I'm perfectly satisfied with the journey thus far. But anyways, enough about me. I appreciate everybody that's come to hang out. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you haven't liked this video, please like this video. I would appreciate it so much. But guys, thank you all so much. Thank you for hanging out, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.